Hello everybody, welcome to a new Valheim tutorial. Today we're going to be learning about player help systems. These are say commands that you can do, kind of like emotes, and then they show the player information. When you're working with custom servers, it's really important to be able to communicate. In this case, we're going to be looking at just a very basic help system. Here you can say palm ? And then you get a list of all of the other commands. And this video is going to stick to the basics. We're going to look at everything you need to know to be able to get the server to respond to a player saying something by showing that player something on their screen. In this case, we're going to be looking at the, let's call it the script, but these can be quite confusing. So what's actually going on is this long, confusing thing. Basically, each thing you see is a long series of text and HTML-like stuff, like size and these line breaks and like everything you see here, this say bye thing. Just take the time to space everything out and work on it like a Word document almost at first, and then get it worded how you want, and then worry about implementing it into the game. Don't get caught in the trap of trying to edit the string while it's still in the string format, okay? Here's an example of a very simple script for you. Remember, earlier we were looking at the strings that make the text, but that is only one part of what we needed. So what we were looking at earlier is only this part. Everything else you see here is the actual script itself. Okay, so now we're looking at the prefab script that makes the stuff show up, assuming you've created your string. There's a little label here, but then we can look up and see it's player say raids. So if we type raids ? Boom. Trophy raid system. No more random raids. Raids are exclusive to trophies. Frequency. This is actually almost exactly how I like them. I like them when they're central. They don't take up the entire screen. And you have to like redo the command maybe twice in order to read everything you want. That way it seems to be, that's a good starting point for people. This one, the spacing is a bit messed up. I forgot a line break. But you can see how you can adjust color. You can adjust the spacing. You can adjust size. You can do a lot of cool stuff. And this is a really important mechanic that you'll need to use on your custom server, right? So let's take a minute to think about what's happening here. The player, which is the prefab player, is saying something. And then the server is reacting to that by making the player see something. Yeah? The player prefab has a special kind of type, the say. When you use the type say, you then specify exactly what it should be. And when the player says that, you can do something. You can make the server do something. In this case, we're using an RPC call that shows a message on the screen. And then it's happening in a loop, basically. So you see all of this extra stuff, but the only difference here are these delays. This is just to keep the message on the screen, because this system is normally made to just show a quick message in like 3 words or something in the center of the screen. So if you want to show like something more often, you have to make it ping, right? And there are plenty of ways that you can fancify this and make it more interesting and more durable and reliable. But for now, we're going to keep it simple. I want you to be able to do this and just set something very basic up, right? So let's assume you have a more simple script. Yours is going to look way different than this. You won't have any of this stuff. So what you're going to do is start with your label. You should always start with a label and say what you are trying to do. This will make you script faster and you'll be more effective. So in our case, we want the player say, what is it going to be? Let's see, help me, right? Okay, so the player says help me. and then something happens, okay? That's really basic. Your notes don't need to be super long or anything like that. You can just keep them simple. Now I'm going to change this from groovy, which is like kind of too extreme here, to one that I personally enjoy more, which is makefile. All right. So now we need to kind of pick the prefab, right? And it's going to be the player prefab, and we're going to use that special type, the say. And then when you use this type, there's an extra parameter afterwards where you determine the phrase that's going to trigger the action. And it is help me. Now that we've done this, and I'm just going to get rid of these. So now it's simple. You can see what's happening. The only thing is this is your message. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Right here. This is where the message goes. Don't worry about the 2. Don't worry about the 1. Only you really care about the message and the delay. Yeah? And so these, each one will only show up solidly for like half a second, and then it starts to fade, and then it fully fades. So that's why you need to keep repeating it to give the player enough time to actually read the thing that you're showing them. So in this case, we say raids, question mark, right? Say raids like this, say raids. And then we see this stuff. And notice how it is pulsing. That's because it's redisplaying the message, right? So using this object RPC call on the player prefab allows you to show that message in the center of the screen. And they can go from very simple like this to very complicated like this, right? This is color, size. Each one of these is a line break, right? So we can see here that I'm missing a line break. In the first paragraph, as you can see here, the actual script itself is not conducive to easily editing it, because the string for all of the stuff on the screen gets compacted and it's all just one long thing. It's very hard to wrap your head around. So this is the original document I used to make the strings you see here. You know, there's little things, that orange welcome to the path of magic. For me, it's too dark, you know, little adjustments I want to make here. Like, why is it all the same font size for the yellow part? Maybe that could be bigger, white text smaller. All little adjustments, right? It's a lot easier to work on it in this format. So now I'm going to show you what I mean by this format. Start with this, like this is your header, okay? This is the thing that you see at the top, right? Obviously, you can change the color here. The main thing to keep in mind, aside from the header, this top part of the title here, is that you want to use the breaks and then also make them match. This is the main part that helps. The string is confusing because it's all in one long line. 2 BRs, the next paragraph. 1 BR, the next line. That helps a lot. And then you start writing it this way, and then once you're ready, you take a copy of it. So we're going to copy the string, and now we're going to take it into a blank space here. All this is the string itself, no extra nonsense, but it does have a lot of spacing for our own sake. But now how would we convert this back to how it is actually going to be? We're going to go to the bottom of the document and then home, backspace, home, backspace, home, backspace. And you just keep doing this. It's really simple. You can just spam that and you keep going until you get to the base of the string. This is just a rough draft. Don't take what I'm showing you too seriously. But it is quite time consuming, but it's also quite beneficial for the player. So thanks for watching, everybody. And if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, I got loads of other videos about setting up your EWP vanilla friendly servers. We have entered the server modding era, where now you can mod your server to adjust the Valheim experience. And if you want to support my work, then consider supporting me on Patreon if you really like my stuff. Or you could also rent a Valheim server for yourself from the server hosts I work with, Zap Hosting. I've used Zap Hosting personally for 2 years at this point, a year and a half, something like that. And Path of Magic itself runs on Zap and has consistently, and I like the way they've treated me. Their customer service is solid, reliable, and responds promptly. So I'm willing to recommend them to you all. I have some content about how to set up your own Zap server and how to get BepInEx and everything set up and running. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.